Hey, PeachBoy23 here. Thanks for coming back to another reaction video. Today you're going to be taking a look at Zach's Gun Rants by MikeBurnfire. As always, the links to the original video and channel are going to be down in the description below, so go ahead and make sure that you check them out. If this is your first time checking out the channel, a little background on myself. I'm a former corporal in the United States Marine Corps, serving from 2015 to 2019 as an 0311 or infantryman. Went out 2 deployments, first one going to Kuwait, second time going back to Kuwait, but also spending about half the time in Syria. Alright, so being your basic 0311, we're kind of expected to be somewhat of a jack of all trades. We had to learn how to use in the beginning it was a 249, 240. Later on, we started to learn different types of guns from the ones we were actually typically have, right? Like M16, but then those ended up getting phased out. People started getting M4s. People eventually started to get an IAR instead of a 249. Although we did still have the 249 kind of still for a little while. We also learned how to use an AT4. We learned how to use a law. Technically, those are considered launchers. I also got to spend some time shooting with the Mark 19, the Mark 32 as well. I shot the 50 cal. Never got to use the small. We had classes on it. I don't even know if the assault men are completely phased out at this point, because I heard that was happening, and this was a while ago, so I don't know how that's going. And also learn how to use a crow system, which essentially is like an automatic. It could be used with the Mark 19, 50 cal, I believe with 240 also. Think of it like on a vehicle, it's just like an automatic turn that you can kind of control with the little, it kind of look like a souped up switch, right? Kind of. And that's just kind of a brief overview of what I can take off right now of guns, weapons that I've touched. Because as far as pistols went, I never got to touch one really. And because I don't know what guns he's going to go over specifically, I don't know if he's going to go over guns in the military or different types that different militaries use, or just any type of gun in general that he has experience with. Also, if he does mention a whole bunch of just different guns that weren't necessarily used in the military and just maybe his own personal experience, just bear in mind I'm probably not going to have as much knowledge on them, which is good because then I get to learn some new cool stuff. Without wasting more time, let's go ahead, get right into the video.
So I'm gonna go on a slight rant about guns here.
No one likes it when you do that. Keep it in your pants.
There is absolutely no reason to make a light infantry weapon that is in 308 full auto. It is pointless.
Why not?
Let's say you're gonna shoot at that right there on the car.
Okay.
By round 3, you're up here.
Okay, because it's a powerful kick, you mean?
Yes, especially on a G3, which is roller delayed blowback. It is an incredibly violent recoil.
What if you found a way to suppress the recoil? Then it would make sense, wouldn't it?
Not really, because it's kind of hard unless your rifle is just really, really heavy.
So you're saying any weapon with automatic fire that has recoil is bad, huh?
No, just 308. Anytime I fire...
See, he's talking about G3. He has chapters G3 plus 308 fully. Okay, I have no idea what a G3 is, but I guess at least as far as shooting on full auto, right? I mentioned a few times with the IR. The time I really got to get my hands more on it was an SOI. I had it for a little bit in the fleet, but then it got taken away because I think our whole squad had one. So obviously they wanted to split it amongst the platoon. But shooting on full auto, again, ammo goes by pretty quick. And it does have a bit of recoil, but it's it's more controlled by if you're standing, right? Which, obviously, but since they come with the bipods, where if you're actually able to get a pretty stable ground, even if you are standing some stable surface anywhere, hell, it could be on some sandbags like this, right? A lot of that recoil is still kind of there, but it's a lot more manageable. But even then, you're kind of shooting in somewhat bursts because shooting fully auto, it's pretty hard to aim, even if you do have a flat surface. And also, I don't remember necessarily the barrel changes, say for 240 or something, right? But shooting a gun, even an M4 repeatedly on semi, it gets hot, but not to the point where it overheats, because typically you don't have that many rounds during training.
To G3 on full auto, I had to brace myself in the weirdest way possible just to be able to get multiple rounds on target.
Maybe it's just because you're weak.
The problem was they started making in the 1950s and 60s, they started making all of these infantry weapons in 308 and then making them full auto because they were like, oh, well, we'll just put it on a bipod and then we can use it in full auto. But the problem is nobody would ever put them on the bipods. They would just shoot them on full auto and then wouldn't hit anything. The FAL is a little bit better, but that's only because its fire rate is higher, so you can kind of get one more round on target before it goes whap all the way into the sky. That's why I'm happy that it's semi-auto. This gun looks really good, though. I do like the G3.
You like the sleek design, or you like the way they perform?
I think they look cool. It's a Mossberg 590.
Is that a good weapon or not?
Okay. Well, obviously, I know what Mossberg is, but okay. So it seems, looking through the chapters, he's going to be having the gun that he's actually talking about. Okay, because I heard 308, and I'm thinking, what was it? I think I was thinking about like a revolver, or like a sniper, a round that goes in the sniper rifle. I don't see. I'm very basic as far as weapons go. God, that was a horrible stutter.
I personally am not a big fan of Mossberg 590. I like the Remington 870 better, but
What do you prefer about the Remington over the Mossberg?
steel receiver as opposed to an aluminum receiver of the Mossberg. Also, the Mossbergs feel kind of clanky.
Is it significant difference or a slight difference?
No, it's barely any difference. It's personal preference.
So it's basically the same thing as a Remington then?
Kind of. The bolt is a little different and some of the other stuff. The barrel shroud is just a heat shield.
So it prevents it from overheating.
No, it keeps you from putting your hand on the barrel when it's real hot.
Oh, so it's a barrel guard?
Yeah, heat shield. I had a guy come in one day and was like, hey, you got any of those shotguns?
Huh. Shotguns with a cheese grater on them. Okay. Hey, I'm learning quite a bit of stuff, right? You know what? I do remember. Well, I mean, obviously, shotguns. I don't know. Okay, it sounds really dumb right now. As far as like the different types of shells, I'm assuming that every single one of them should be somewhat compatible. I mean, obviously, unless I don't even know like the difference between like all I've ever heard is like a 12 gauge, 10 gauge, 8 gauge. I don't know. I've heard 12 gauge a lot, but as far as I know that there's slugs, right, which are the ones that are supposed to shoot like farther, and buckshot, which is the one I believe that has like a big spread. If you ever seen Bill Burr, it's got a nice spread, but oh god, I don't think I'm gonna understand any of these guns, but it's kind of exciting to learn something new,
With a cheese grater on them.
Cheese grater?
I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, you got a shotgun with a cheese grater on it. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Why would you put a cheese grater in a shotgun, you idiot? And then I realized that he wanted a shotgun with a heat shield.
Was he using his rifle to carve up cheese?
I don't know, probably.
Is that why he needed a new one?
Maybe. Yeah, Mossberg 590. Pretty cool. I like it.
Did the Germans or the Russians invent it?
No, it's an American shotgun.
Oh, so it was made by Heckler and Weston?
No, it was made by Mossberg. Where are you even getting this from?
How vain do you have to be to name your rifle after yourself?
It was Mossberg and Sons. This is the name of the company.
Did they invent it in the year 590?
I don't know.
You don't know? Yes, they did then.
No, they didn't invent it in the year 590. The Mossberg 590's been around since, I don't know, the 60s, 70s maybe?
Why did they call it the Mossberg 1960s?
I have no idea, because different companies name their guns different things. Glocks are named after what patent number it is. That's why the Glock 17 is the 17. It has nothing to do with mag size. If anybody tells you that the Glock 17 is named that because it holds 17 rounds in the magazine, they don't know what they're talking about.
No, I think
I didn't know that. And okay, so like he was saying, if the Glock is because of the patent number, the 590, I'm assuming maybe it's somewhat similar. I don't know what the reason for the 590 is, but I feel like now at least I have something to talk about with a couple of my Marine Corps buddies as far as like when they start talking about guns, and I'm just not there going like this. What about that M4 though, right? It's so stupid.
You're right, the Mossberg 590, after 589 failed attempts at getting a patent.
No! You're wrong.
I'm not sure the differences between a muzzle brake and a choke, sadly.
A choke is basically a very shallow funnel that you put on the inside of the barrel that's going to compress the shot and the wadding before it leaves the barrel.
So it pretty much makes the shotgun shell a slug of sorts?
No, it just keeps it more tightly clustered together.
Yeah, like a slug.
No, because it's still going to open up the moment it leaves the barrel.
Oh, so it's just a delayed explosion. What does the other thing do then?
A muzzle brake just vents the exhaust gases out the side of the barrel.
I knew it! Putting holes in your weapon makes it better!
No, it doesn't! Oh my god. Technically, you're correct, yes!
That's the best kind of correct!
Technically, putting holes in the end of your barrel does mitigate recoil somewhat, but not putting holes in it willy-nilly.
You never know until you try.
Oh my god, Mike. Behold, Mike!
Okay, before he gets on to the behold, Mike, before he gets into the next one. Okay, so I mean, from what I've heard and what I've been told is that shotguns are supposed to be pretty easy to somewhat maintain, which is why people usually have it for like self-defense. From what he was saying, at least as far as what you can actually do with the shotgun, right? In this case, like say, I don't know if he was referencing the Mossberg 590, right? From what he was saying, it seemed like you can actually not go crazy with it. But I mean, you could add quite a bit of stuff with the shotgun, right? Or there might be a lot more to it as far as you wanting to like customize it. Because I have heard that it's not a whole lot of big working parts, pretty easy to clean, maintain. But that to me just made it seem a lot more complicated than I originally thought it was.
The Mateba Model 6 Unica.
Never heard of that gun before.
It's a revolver, and its name means you are unique.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the gun's creator telling the gun that it was unique. Fun fact about the Mateba Model 6 Unica, it fires out of the bottom cylinder.
Oh, so not at the top cylinder like most revolvers?
Yep, fires out of the bottom cylinder. Also, it's a semi-automatic revolver.
So it's not necessarily good, it's just different for the sake of being different.
Well, having it fire out of the bottom cylinder is a good thing because it reduces flip up.
Then why don't all of them do that?
Because it requires a lot more work and you gotta kind of move shit around a lot.
So it's not necessarily better.
Not necessarily. Yeah, it's a revolver that uses gas pressure of the cartridge firing to cock the hammer back, so it fires on single action every shot.
Why would a 6-shot single action revolver be semi-automatic?
It just cocks the hammer back every time.
Oh, so you don't have to recock it?
Yeah, so you don't have to pull the hammer back every single time.
Oh, well, that sounds great. Why don't all...
See, now that's interesting because I'm honest. I mean, hell, I don't even think I've seen a revolver, at least up close. Right? But in any case, I always thought it just kind of did that by itself. Like, I never knew that you actually had to, I mean, maybe like an old Western movies, right? You see them like cocking or they do this thing. But I never actually knew that you actually had to do that for every single shot. I mean, I assumed it, I guess they would all kind of be like this one where it's just, pull the trigger. Maybe cock the first one, right? To kind of, I guess, get it going. That's interesting. See, I'm learning.
Revolvers do that.
Because it's really complicated. It's a lot of extra work and a lot of extra parts to put into a gun, so it didn't really catch on. Also, it looks weird.
Weird is cool.
If you want a Mateba, you pretty much just have to get a Chiappa Rhino, because Matebas are almost impossible to find. They get a premium.
I believe it. I've never even heard of the Mateba.
I think its biggest claim to fame is that it was in the Ghost in the Shell movie from like the 1980s.
Ah, so a whole 12 people saw it.
Wow, man. Way to just completely crap on my childhood.
Ah, the Mateba. Yes, that weapon was featured in episode 14 of The Snorks. What new weapon are you using now?
This is the Beretta M92FS.
Isn't that the standard issue police weapon?
No, standard issue, it was the... Ah! Stop resisting!
Okay, that scream got me. Beretta. Definitely heard of it. Although I'm not sure about the M92FS part about it. It's a pistol. I don't even know what kind of pistols the officers used in the Marine Corps, or even like what the machine gunners used. I mean, they always had it, but I never saw them use it. And I probably should have asked as far as checking it out, right?
Gun! I'm gonna go through ammo for this thing pretty quick, I think.
Yeah, if you keep spraying it like that.
Well, it takes a lot of bullets to take one of those things down. You ever try to kill a plant with a gun? It's not very effective. Next time you try to weed your front lawn, try using a pistol to do it. The entire time I was in the military, I was like, man, the M9's a piece of garbage. Why would anybody use this hunk of junk? And then when I got out of the military, I was like, man, the M9's awesome. I love this handgun.
Maybe that's not a testament to the weapon's strength.
I think the main problem is that in the military, it's a military-issued one, so it's not exactly well-made.
Again, whenever someone says something is military grade, it's not going to be the best. It might even be worse than a whole lot of other cheaper ones. And also, if you made it this far, just know that every 0311 Marine was like an expert on any type of firearm. Maybe unless you were maybe on armor or you just did it as a hobby too. I mean, I had quite a few friends that love to shoot. The majority of them had shotguns. Some had a couple sniper rifles. I don't know which ones. Some of them have handguns. Probably should have told them to take me shooting sometime. I probably would have at least grasped more of the basics, because I feel like most people, my civilian friends, right, like friends from like high school and all that, they typically assume that I know how every gun works, or they were shocked when I told them I never shot a pistol, right? And but you're in the Marine Corps. It's like, yeah, but you know, M4, M16s were the main thing.
And also,
That's suspicious.
it's not exactly well made. It's used by soldiers who beat the crap out of it. It's all old parts. Also, I feel like the M9 is a great civilian handgun, but a terrible, oh my god, you're not proving my point here, combat handgun. It's got too many parts. Good lord. What is happening?
As far as the too many parts go, does that kind of contribute? I mean, hell, if you're a gun nut, let me know down in the comments. As far as all those little moving parts, I would assume whenever something is more complicated like that, is that kind of the reason why it does jam or have more capability of jamming? Because, hey, getting like maybe sand in it, you know, I don't know if dirt, like any type of debris that gets in it, it's a lot harder, I guess, to clean as well, just considering there is so many different parts, right?
Die! 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 Help! Help! Help me!
So it's not only a bad herbicide, but a bad pesticide as well. Oh, what are you using now?
This is the AN-94. They put pulleys in it so that it fires one round, then the barrel starts recoiling backwards, and then it fires the second round. So you get 2 rounds firing out of it before the recoil impulses hit the shooter.
Did they invent that before gas pistons were a thing?
It was an attempt to increase the hit probability of, hang on, the hit probability of the average soldier.
Did it
What?
work? Did they succeed?
Yeah, except that the gun is incredibly complicated and very expensive, so it was adopted by the Russian military for about a day, and then it wasn't. Yeah, I like the rear sight on the AN-94, it's cool.
It looks like it's lopsided.
It is, it's kind of...
Honestly, the only way I ever found out about this gun was probably from Call of Duty. And I didn't even think it was a real gun. I thought it was one that it was just made for the game. But I mean, it doesn't seem like it was too successful in real life. Cool concept though, right?
off to the side, but you rotate this little piece right there to whatever range you're aiming at.
Oh, you hold it like a gangster sideways so the
No,
sight
it's
comes right side up.
So then, weird question: is this considered the first hybrid sight? Right? That is, I never thought of that. I'm learning something new every single little chapter.
No, it's the correct way. It's just the sight is just there.
Look at it. I can see it. It's crooked.
It's not crooked. I'm looking through this top part of it right here, and then it's got an angle like that. So when you rotate it, it's always in the correct position. Yes, it's weird. It's a weird gun. That's why I grabbed it, cause it's weird.
Weird doesn't mean useful. Weird doesn't mean it's good.
Do you have a lot of ammo that you want to get rid of quickly? Do you have a bunch of enemies that you want to throw lead at as fast as humanly possible? Do you hate that guy over there and you want him to be just absolutely suppressed for the next 3.5 minutes? Then buy the PKM light machine gun. Standing for words in Russian that I don't understand, PKM is an acronym. Using a long-stroke gas operating system with an open bolt assembly, the PKM is capable of throwing large amounts of ammunition at approximately anywhere from 650 all the way up to 800 rounds per minute.
Point the barrel at the thing you want to die, squeeze the trigger, and death comes out.
Yes, pretty much.
Would you drop that Styrog in the water?
I dropped it and I don't know where.
Well, I mean, as far as like the PKM, did he drop it? So as far as PKM and any gun that really uses, I guess, wood on it. I don't know if that's just a cosmetic thing or if that piece is actually entirely made of wood. Then again, basic grunt. I used the M4 practically for the majority of the time, and not one gun that I touched had any type of wood on it that I can remember right now. But does the wood affect it in a certain way? I'm not talking Call of Duty, right, where it increases your speed or something. But does it being made of wood instead of, like, say, metal or plastic, whatever it's made of, like for the buttstock, right? Does it have an advantage for something, or is it just easier to produce that way? I don't know.
Where it went.
Oh no! Ah, it's too bad.
It's God. I can't talk about it anymore if I don't have a visual aid.
Yeah, you could just talk about how much you love the Matsuba again.
Yep, that is a Mauser broom handle.
Also known as the Type 22, yes? You mentioned that the Chinese name all their weapons type number.
Yeah, they do, and I don't know what the Chinese nomenclature for this pistol is. So.
I thought it was Type 22, but maybe I'm getting my types confused.
I don't know, there's so many. I can't remember the names of all of them. They used it in World War I, and it was outdated in World War I.
What's not great about it?
In 1914, this pistol was outdated.
What made it outdated? The fact that it only holds, what, 12 shots?
The real one holds, I think, 10 rounds. It's an internal magazine that you cannot remove. You have to load it with stripper clips.
Wait, what? You... oh, that sounds terrible!
Okay, so you can't actually... Okay, so the only thing I can think of sounding similar to this, right, is when you actually... I mean, it's kind of the same thing, right? You're trying to load like a mag, but obviously from right there, you're loading it into the actual gun. And for us, when we tried doing a mag, we had this little thing, what was it called? I mean, cause you got like 10 rounds on the strip clip, right? And you were trying to put it in. I would always have to put it in one by one because for some reason, I could never use the little speed reloader thing that it would come with. The thing would jam or it just would not work for me. Or when somebody did get it to work, they had to put quite a bit of effort. And then by then, I was already done filling a mag and I'm moving on to the next one. So having to do that every single time to reload, and then I actually having to have the clips, right, or like the little strip clips of the actual rounds. Sometimes those things get loose and a round might fall off by itself because even when you have to re-download the rounds that you didn't use from a range, you're having to put them back on. But some of the times the thing is just like it's bent and the rounds won't stay. So when you turn it in, you got to kind of make sure that the rounds stay together somewhat. So that's kind of why I could see the gun was outdated pretty damn quick.
So then you have to take a stripper clip, which is just a long piece of metal with a bunch of bullets in it, and then push all the bullets down into the magazine with your thumb. And if you do it wrong, the bolt will close on your thumb.
Sounds so fun!
I like the BAR. I'm not a big fan of this specific model. I think this is the BAR A2, technically, and I'm not a big fan of the A2.
What's the difference?
So the original BAR was substantially lighter. It had a bipod, but the bipod was removable. On the A2, they made the bipod non-removable, and it's freaking heavy. They also put a magazine adapter on it, which is also heavy.
There you go.
See that little thing on the top of it? The little curved portion that's kind of sticking the wrong direction?
Mm-hmm.
That's the safety.
That's a weird way to have a safety.
Yeah. The safety mechanism literally is the dust cover that you close it, and it keeps things from getting in there, and it also keeps the bolt from moving forwards.
Neat.
Also, there's no...
Oh, there's no... Oh. Well, that thing... I mean, there's something that... I remember using this gun, what they call like the grease gun in Call of Duty. And if it's just pretty much flipping around, if I am remembering the reload animation, it's got to have some kind of lock or something to keep it up like this. Because I feel like you're shooting, the recoil is going to hit that little, I feel like that would probably be quite a bit of an issue.
No charging handle on this submachine gun. You just shove your finger into the ejection port and pull the bolt back.
You don't need to charge it. It's not an energy weapon.
Loading handle, Mike.
You want to debate guns for a while with someone who doesn't know anything about guns? Or you want to do some bounty hunting?
Fine, let's do some bounty hunting.
Tell me about the Steyr AUG before you kill all of them.
Well, the Steyr AUG, AUG is technically an acronym for Army Universal Gewehr, and it was first adopted by the Austrian military in 1977, so its original name was the STG-77, which stands for Sturmgewehr 77. Yes, it's a very good rifle. It was very futuristic at the time of its release.
But it's not so much anymore. It does look...
It's still a pretty advanced automatic rifle. The Steyr AUG has what's called a progressive trigger, at least on the military models.
I know of the AUG, as far as just from Call of Duty again. I never saw it in real life, but here's a little bit of what my knowledge consists of as far as with the AUG. It's considered a bullpup because the magazine inserts from the rear and not in front of you. I know some stuff. But if that's wrong, holy shit.
Ah, so it's very open towards gay marriage.
Also, yes, but the trigger, when you pull it back a little bit until it clicks the first time, that's when it fires single shot. But if you pull it back all the way, it fires fully automatic. Another interesting fact about the Steyr AUG is that it is used by both the Austrians and the Australians.
So now it doesn't matter if you get those two confused.
Yes, exactly. The ones that's used by the Australians is technically called the Osteyr, though. The Steyr AUG was the first bullpup to be adopted by a military. Well, it was the first bullpup to be widely adopted by a military. I think technically there was one before that, but it doesn't really count because it was adopted by Britain for about 5 minutes and then wasn't adopted anymore. The first time I fired a Steyr AUG, it was one of the full auto ones, and the Austrians didn't tell me about the progressive trigger for it. Sorry, Australians. The Australians didn't tell me about the progressive trigger for it. So I'm just kneeling down in the firing range. I get behind this thing. I get it all scoped up, and I pull the trigger. I go, man, this trigger's really heavy. And I jerk it all the way back, and it goes... Then they laughed at me. So yeah, the Steyr AUG is my favorite bullpup, other than a FAMAS, which you basically cannot get a FAMAS in the United States. There's, I think, a total of maybe 400 that exist in the U.S.
Really? Again, FAMAS, first time I ever heard about that gun was in... Actually, it was like an old game. Warrock? I don't know if it was called that, but it had like... It looked almost exactly the same. But then again, Call of Duty. I didn't know that... Wait, did he say it was illegal to have them? Or you aren't allowed? In any case, it says that there's only 400 in the US, I think he said. Huh. I wonder if it is actually as fast as it says, like, in the actual game.
Wait, only 400 FAMASs?
Yeah, there's only like 400 that exist.
Why not more?
So the FAMAS was imported for a very short period of time before there was a ban on importing weapons. So there's only like 400 semi-automatic FAMASs that exist in the U.S.
So that must be a collector's treasure, huh?
Yes, they contract a premium $20,000.
Wow. You can't legally purchase them outside of the ones that are already here?
No, you can't, because
But
the ones that were imported are the only ones that are ever going to be imported.
Okay, so you can have one. It's just, you got to make sure you buy it from someone in the U.S. If you're in the U.S. Okay.
God, I gotta get a new barrel for this thing. This rifling is just mad fucked.
You couldn't just zero it in, huh?
No, it's got terrible rifling on it.
Maybe you should keep better care of it.
Oh yeah, I'll just repair the rifling on my barrel, Mike.
Now when he just reloaded right now, I mean, is that the actual I mean, I would assume it's the actual reload, right? Because you just stick it in, right? I mean, because typically with, say, for example, was it like a 240, 249, same thing. When you're having to put the rounds on the actual feed tray, I'm trying to remember as much knowledge as I can. Putting the rounds on the feed tray, you actually have to keep your finger there, right? And then close it. Well, not in, but like somewhat up against the side so the rounds, because just putting the rounds on, I know how they usually shown in video games, the rounds are going to slide right off. Unless it's on a, what was it? Don't remember if it was a 50 cal, the Mark 19, but there's actually like a little, these little hook things, I forgot what they were called, but you could actually set it on there and you can actually close it. I want to say it was the Mark 19 though. I want to say.
You make it sound like that's a difficult thing to do, but I have no idea.
That's an impossible thing. Do we have access to a hammer forge, Mike? Where's your hammer forge? Why don't you just knock out a new barrel for your gun?
A workbench over here. It's close enough.
Does that look like a hammer forge to you?
Maybe the stove could function as a hammer forge.
That looks like an Uzi to me. Israeli Military Industries Uzi.
Watch out.
Uzi is one of the better submachine guns. A lot of different militaries actually ended up adopting it. I think the U.S. had it for a while.
Have you fired a Uzi before?
I have.
Did you enjoy the experience?
It's alright.
When I hear submachine gun, I think at least 50 rounds in the clip.
The sub in submachine gun is actually indicative of the caliber. Sub-caliber weapon, so it's smaller than rifle caliber. Oh! Speaking of submachine guns that were available around the same time, I just found a Sten gun.
My name's Stan, here's my gun.
So this is one of the other... This is one...
As far as the Uzi went, I mean, I kind of feel like we all always want to... I mean, first time I ever like saw one in gaming that I can remember is probably like GTA, right? I feel like ever since then, and then you saw like Malibu's Most Wanted, maybe if you've seen that movie, You know, he's on top of the car shooting all this. God, I don't know. Wait, so I don't know if you could actually buy one, or you know, I mean, at least go somewhere to shoot one, because I feel like that's one of the guns I've really wanted to try to get my hands on.
One of the other submachine guns that was widely available around the time of the Uzi.
Is the magazine in there sideways?
Yes, it is. The magazine pokes out of the side.
It's not a handguard. It's not a thing you're supposed to grip.
Most soldiers would just hold on to the magazine well.
Yeah.
Shot it. The only submachine guns that were, again, widely available were things like the MP-18 and the Thompson submachine gun. Submachine guns that were quite large, pretty dang heavy, and expensive to manufacture because it required a lot of machining. The Sten gun, by comparison, is made basically out of a tube with a couple holes cut into it, a barrel, and then pressed pieces of sheet metal.
It's basically a pipe gun.
At the time they were making
I was gonna say pipe gun, or kind of like from Fallout 4, some of the most basic guns. So it's essentially can function as a post-apocalyptic type gun, right? I mean, it seems like it'd be very easy to make.
these things, they could probably knock out about 5 of them in an hour.
Nice.
They could just slam these things together incredibly fast. The only complaint people had about them is if you're carrying one on a sling, there's really no good way to carry it. The sights bang into your stomach, and also it doesn't want to sit like that, so it keeps trying to roll over.
Mm-hmm.
If you carry it the other direction, the charging handle slams into your stomach. And if you carry it with the magazine pointing up, the trigger jams into your stomach. So there's no good way to carry this submachine gun.
And that's why it fell out of service and was replaced by the M16.
No, it fell out of service because machine guns like the Uzi started coming about. And while this thing is a really good, incredibly cheap submachine gun that you can knock out thousands of them very quickly, it isn't that accurate. You can still find these things damn near everywhere. I found tons of them when I was in Iraq. Ones that were built in like the 40s and still were being used.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had one that was turned into me that...
Well, I mean, I wonder what's kind of the range we're talking about here as far as like what's like maybe like a point target, area target, and because I mean, considering that it is shooting full auto, right? I feel like a pistol. Then it seems like a pistol would probably be even more accurate, but then again, I don't know the ranges. You know, again, M4, M16
had a built-in suppressor.
How do you make a built-in suppressor?
Basically, you drill a bunch of holes in the barrel and you add a suppressor to the end of it. I had one that had been camouflage painted, had an integral suppressor, and somebody had bolted a rail to the top and attached a laser sight to it.
A laser sight on a pistol that's 80 years old.
Yeah, on a submachine gun.
When you were taking inventory of these weapons, did you have to mark down details like that on the notes page?
Nope, I just...
Also, real quick, that suppressor, obviously, the gun's still pretty damn loud. Although it does sound a little bit quieter.
remembered that. And they actually made, I think, 4 or 5 different stocks.
What stock? It looks like someone jammed a hanger in there.
Yeah, it's pretty much just a piece of wire. It was made to be cheap. Like I said, this gun was made to be cheap.
Yeah.
Wait, is this the one that some people nicknamed the poor man's machine gun? Or was it a different one? Because I know that was named for one, and it kind of sounds like this one, although I'm not 100% sure.
Task accomplished,
It's
I
an
guess.
incredibly simple, cheap gun that was designed to arm Britain's soldiers with some type of submachine gun that didn't cost, at the time, one Thompson submachine gun cost as much as about 10 of these. This is a really good option.
It would be a better option if it were more accurate.
Doesn't really matter. Submachine guns are designed to be used at about 50 yards, and that's it.
They have spray and pray guns.
Pretty much. I have shot both a Sten gun and an Uzi. If I was going to be armed with one of these 2 submachine guns, I think I'd probably take the Sten gun.
You said that the Sten gun had only 40 moving parts, roughly, right?
It's like 40 parts total. There's barely any.
That sounds like easy maintenance to me.
Yeah, it's incredibly easy to maintain. No joke, if the recoil spring breaks on a Sten gun, you probably can go find a screen door and rip the spring off of that and shove it into the gun and it'll work.
Didn't you do that? You took a pencil spring or something?
I put a mechanical pen spring in a Walther P38.
And it worked just as good, huh?
Yeah, it worked fine. Yeah, that'll hold it over until I can get a new spring.
It's really good at filling the enemies with hot lead.
Ah! Ooh!
That's so dumb. Hot lead. But, I mean, considering, I would say maybe these things could have been produced a little on a bigger scale. Say if like say something like that from a pen could actually keep the gun firing, right? Or in accordance to any type of gun, right? But then again, I thought about it and I was like, well, because it is a different type of spring, it probably wastes a lot faster. But it's interesting to know that just because it's not an actual part of the actual gun, you can still find a way to make it work.
Ooh! Ooh, what you got? What you got here? What you got? Let me turn you over and take a look at this thing. An L96A1? Are you fucking kidding me?
Never heard of that one.
L96A1.
That's got a nice scope on it, I see.
Yes, it does have a nice scope on it. Most people are going to know this thing as the Accuracy International AWP.
Most people wouldn't recognize it in this kind of view, but yes.
Oh, hello.
Okay, just gonna use this gun on him.
Well, they were hostile.
They didn't seem hostile until you shot them in the throat.
Wow, I suck with sniper rifles.
There you
There
go.
we go. You like that? What? There's another one. Oh, he's got an AWP too. This is gonna go right in your ear.
You waste them, yeah!
Accuracy International, the company that designed this rifle, was effectively 3 guys in a shed. And they were like, why don't we submit this rifle that we built to the British military rifle trials for a new sniper rifle? So they did it. They didn't expect to win. It won handily. And they were like, oh crap, now we gotta build a bunch of these things. So when the British military sent some requisitions lieutenants out to their shop,
To his garage.
they rented a large shop and then took their entire inventory of rifles they had produced up until that point. And there's only 3 people that worked for this company at the time. So when the requisitions officers showed up, they were like, well, where is everybody? Oh, they're out to lunch. It'll be fine.
Why are we in a 2-stall garage? The rest of the house is out for lunch too. It'll be back in a moment.
Well, no, they had rented out for a day an actual workshop. Had all these workbenches in it, put all the rifles on it in different states. So they showed up and the requisitions officers were happy. They're like, hey, this looks like a really good operation you guys got going here. Let's go out to lunch. So they went out and got...
I don't really think that maybe they had to pretend that they had actually a whole bunch of people, right? I mean, because considering if they loved it, I feel like they would at least give them people to kind of help with it, or at the very least, people hear like, hey, these guys probably just got a contract to make so many of these rifles, right? That people would want to work for them, right? Or unless there's some other type of reason, or like they want them to know that probably they're like a big booming operation, right? And so that I guess it maybe solidify more trustworthiness. Because I don't know if the British or those lieutenants, what do we say? The British, right? That they were just gonna be like, hey, we'll give you the money to produce them, or if you have to produce them first and somehow get the money for all the material and all that, and for the amount that they're gonna want, and then we'll buy them. I feel like that's kind of what was going on there, maybe.
lunch, and then while they were out at lunch, the requisitions officers were like, yeah, this was really more of a formality. We just wanted to make sure you weren't 3 guys in a shed. And they're just like, oh my god, we're in so much trouble. Anyway, it ended up getting adopted, and it's a really, really good rifle.
Have you fired one of these guns?
I have fired one of these guns.
Come on! Really?
If it's...
How is he getting to shoot any of these? I mean, I'm assuming it's not in the military. I'm assuming it's after, maybe, right? Because he, from what I do remember him saying from a few stories in the past, was that the army was really what got him into like really checking out guns, and obviously he had to fix guns for the army. So you know, I feel like that's kind of where that passion for him came out of. And then, but I don't know how people get to shoot all these types of guns. I mean, the only thing I ever know is that I see a range and I always just see like your basic rifles or pistols, and damn, I feel like going shooting now. But I too have shot this gun in Call of Duty.
Any World War II gun, they were probably all over the place in Iraq. So it's the PPSH-41. It's a Russian submachine gun.
These guns we've been picking up that you've been spouting about, they were all used by the Allies in World War II?
Yes. So far, we have not found any German World War II submachine guns, which would be the MP-38. I think it's going to be the only one.
Wait, is that the only weapon the Nazis had?
No, they had tons of other ones. Just the MP-38 is like the only submachine gun they technically had.
Okay.
Well, I mean, right there when it says, I mean, because when they did that little asterisk right there and it says MP-40, I think that's what he was meant. But I mean, from what I do remember about the M40, like in actual real life, that I heard that the gun was actually a lot better than a lot of the Allies' weapons. So technically, whenever they would find one, they would actually take it and use that gun instead. Uh, I assumed it was just kind of better overall. Maybe it could carry more rounds. I don't know how many rounds. I mean, I think in the game it carries like 32, right? It's like in Call of Duty games. I don't know how real that is to like real life. Um, but yeah, from what I heard, it was supposed to be. I don't know if the top, like a top tier weapon, as far as like ground fighting went.
This one does eject all the shell casings out of the top of it.
Shoots him up
Yeah, shell casings just pop straight out the top of it.
into your line of sight.
You don't really notice them when you're shooting it. You do notice them when they come raining back down from the sky and go down the shirt collar.
Yeah, seems like a terrible design. You say people like these guns.
I never thought of that. I didn't even know that. Huh. I feel like that's a lot more of a chance of getting some hot brass on you. I mean, obviously, ejection port cover, being on the right side. What was that one gun? I saw it. I saw it like in a documentary a while back. I think it was a P90. I don't know if that's the actual name for it, but I think those rounds shoot down behind you. I think it was. I haven't heard of a gun where the rounds actually eject off the top. It doesn't seem like that would be a good idea.
That's one of the primary downsides of it, is that happens.
People would take these guns, fire them sideways gangsta style, and then shoot their comrades with the shrapnel.
You're actually not wrong, because one of the standard practices for these things was to hold it at 25 or 45 degree angle.
Well, yeah,
in your shoulder, so it goes and spits the shell casings
If you
away.
designed the shell casings to eject straight up, then it just makes sense.
Well, the reason they have it eject the shell casings straight up is because it's an ease of manufacturing.
Hey, should we manufacture a gun that doesn't shoot hot shell casings down the soldiers' backs? We could.
Huh. Now that's pretty funny, just because I just realized that as far as when he said that they're holding it at a 25 or 40 degree angle, right? So those like the casings, right, aren't going to be going in your face. And I've always seen it. I saw it. I don't know if you guys watch Peaky Blinders, but you see some of these guns used in there. I don't know if it was a PPSH specifically, but they're always shooting from like the hip. So I'm assuming that's also why. I'm assuming that's why some people would always shoot from the hip. As far as I don't know if it was a movie. I don't know if people actually did it in real life. I can only assume that they probably did. And then when I look at it, I'd be like, why aren't you actually aiming down? And this might be the reason.
Good, but this is so much cheaper!
All right, so let's go ahead and talk about that for a minute. Now, I just realized like the picture and quality right now looks really good, just because I was using like 2 lights and now I switched to just one, and I realized that's kind of what would make discolorations. I don't believe it happened in this one, but okay. So I learned quite a bit. Obviously, a lot of kind of information to kind of gather. Think of this like a spark notes as far as to getting used or actually knowing about different types of guns now. I feel like the last thing to do right now is somehow find a way to actually shoot these like at a range or something, just to get that kind of feeling. Because I feel like, I don't know if this happened to anybody else, but as far as like shooting went in the military, repeatedly shooting the same guns, or just knowing that after any range you always had a police call, or just, I guess, getting bored shooting the same gun over and over, they kind of assume other guns are just going to be kind of the same. I feel like it would have been a lot more different, because that's kind of what drew me away from guns, I guess. It's like, okay, yeah, shoot, whatever, right? You get used to the recoil of an M4, or you get used to the weight, and you just get used to shooting it over and over. But I feel like if you, I guess, experience different types of guns, right? I mean, because for a certain time, I was pretty excited, right? You get to shoot a 240, it's a completely different experience. You get to shoot a Mark 19, different experience than with the 50 cal. And then, but after a while, I mean, typically we would only get to shoot it from, like, say if it was from, I guess, like an actual moment where it's not during an actual range, but we just get the chance to shoot them just so we get used to it and comfortable with it. We rarely ever really got to use it during like a live range. There was one time where I got and became an A gunner to a machine gunner whose A gunner had been pinged as a casualty. Other than that, we really didn't use it on actual live ranges. But I guess trying different types of guns, especially like a lot of the guns he's been able to try right here from what he's mentioned, I felt like that would kind of make things a little more interesting, or like reignite that little, little feeling of getting like excited, bang bang type deal. I do have a buddy who who's a cop that has a couple guns, who's able to go shooting sometimes when he does have free time. Kind of want to ask him now, like, hey, I'll buy some of the ammo. I can only imagine ammo is pretty damn expensive, having to buy the actual rounds, and maybe record a video. And then that way I can kind of get used to like a whole bunch of different types of guns. Something about World War II guns, or like older gun models, that seem to have more of a big interest, at least in my eyes. Let me know down below, what are some guns you shot? What are some guns that you kind of want to shoot? Yeah, just let me know down there. And as far as this video, thanks for watching. I know it was a little out of my element as far as like knowing what types of guns, but then again, I'm learning some pretty damn good information, and also having a laugh while doing it. So thanks for watching, thanks for coming back, thanks for being patient, and I'll see you all in the next video.